Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thru The Glass Table. As always, I am Izzy.
And I'm Everett.
And today we're going to be talking about Warner Brothers'
Wonder Woman.
Bitch.
DC and Warner Brothers presents their latest screenwriting training video called Wonder Woman. In this educational video, screenwriters can learn such incredibly difficult concepts such as intelligible storytelling, believable dialogue, characters who do stuff, human emotions, and colors. So this is like the second coming of Jesus, this fucking movie, because we're 3 movies into this franchise and they're all fucking terrible. So this is on the line. The stakes are never been higher. So Ismail, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
Overall, I thought it was actually really good. Finally,
a movie.
Movie.
A movie. People, characters, emotions, colors.
Real drive, real story, real end goal, something.
Yeah.
Tagging us along.
I told you I was disappointed because I wanted this to be another failure because it would add to the comedy of the situation.
Patty Jenkins?
Yeah, Patty Jenkins is the director of this film. Yeah, this was a surprisingly solid film. There are lots of problems, and I have a suspicion.
There's a few problems.
Mostly towards the end of the film.
There you go.
But for most of it, I had a smile on my face, and I can't complain. Like, it was good.
Yeah. What did you think about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman?
So I didn't like her in Batman vs. Superman, but now I'm starting to realize that was because they didn't give her any fucking thing to do. In this movie...
She was a placement card.
Yeah, basically. In this movie, I really, really liked her. I liked her in the same way that I instantly liked Rey in Daisy Ridley in The Force Awakens.
I liked her for the most part. It's just I felt she was wavy as like towards the middle. It was just a really long second act, and so I felt like it was draggy with her delivery and everything, and kind of I don't think it was her fault because at the very beginning, like when she opened up with the dialogue and everything, it kind of felt like she was unsure what to do with her accent. But when she got into it and when they kind of just let it go, like she just started reverting back to her natural kind of like tone. I was like, that's okay. Don't fucking fall into that word. Let's try something and then
back out from it.
Like Storm and then,
I was about to say like Halle Berry with her fucking accent.
Halle Berry and her fucking accent and X-Men.
Another standout character who I usually don't like him. Like he's okay as Captain Kirk in the new Star Wars, but
Chris Pine.
Yeah, Chris Pine was pretty entertaining in this. He played the straight man. He was just like dry, like she says to him, my favorite line, she says to him like the god of, or I'm made from Zeus, from clay. And he's just like, oh, okay. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
He served his purpose. Let's, from the love interest to also him being the first representation for men, like all around. So he served his purpose.
This is obviously a departure from every other fucking terrible movie in this franchise. What is the difference between like Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad? Like what did this change from that made us like this movie?
The very obvious change right from the beginning. You leaned over to me and you said it. You're like, colors.
Yeah, this is a beautiful film. I don't think it's the best looking film in the world, but like nothing's gray. Everything was bright.
Well, there's a color palette change between what's on her island and then like the Bad War.
But it served.
But it served its purpose to show the differences. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm watching something that feels real.
Yep.
Because with Zack Snyder's, blue pastel shit that he was doing, it felt like this is fucking fake. This is like I came to watch a movie trying to mix reality with fantasy, but I think what he was going for was more. This is coming right off the graphic novel, right off the comic.
Visual. Like I had emotions for these characters.
Okay.
I was like rooting for her, and I liked Chris Pine, and I loved even the side characters. I thought were pretty cool and interesting, and that's the difference from Batman vs. Superman. Is like your movie can look ugly and you can have all the visual effects you want, but if the characters are there and I can understand why they exist and I like them and I can identify with them, then I'll still be locked in. But when you can't even do that either, then you got me checked out. This is why even despite the problems that I have with this movie, I still think it was a great movie.
It's weird that they did it so well here because not a lot was given. If you actually think about it, it's just everything that needed to be there was expressed in the right amount of time, in the right amount of place, and the pacing. Whereas with like Batman versus Superman, like notorious, everyone hated Lex Luthor in there just because of the portrayal of Jesse Eisenberg.
And you couldn't understand what the fuck he wanted.
was saying and what he wanted, and it was just like over the top eccentric. But there was no real focus. This one, it seems more focused. Like everyone had a clear role to do.
What they were supposed to be and what they were supposed to feel from beginning to end.
The only issue I had with kind of the exposition was that it did seem a little too like heavy at when she was explaining with the, spoiler alert, with the children's book and everything. You're just like, oh shit, this is how we're doing it.
I understand that. I see in other parts of the movie too there was a lot of over explaining.
Yeah.
But I liked that when she was explaining the birth of their people, and to add to that is another thing that I think is a change is there's like art direction in this movie. Like it seemed like there was thought put into like what the sets were supposed to look like.
Yes. Not
I mean?
like a CGI mostly like backdrop. I mean, there's a lot of CGI in this movie, but at least the attention to detail to the island and everything was strong and not fucking lazy.
It looked like someone put thought into it.
And let's talk about the CGI that's in this film because there is I just don't know what's going on with DC. They have this like very choppy CGI.
Would you say it's like Warner Brothers in general? Because I was watching some of the Harry Potter films recently, and then also when we saw, I don't think we saw it together, but Fantastic Beasts. Like some of that stuff looked bad too.
Maybe. At least with Fantastic Beasts, it was like seamless a little more than this one. This one seemed a lot more choppy because what they were trying to go for was like that slow cam turning thing. Yep. And each shot that had the the overexpressed CGI in it felt like.
Speaking about the slow motion, I really don't understand why there was so much of it.
Because she's a woman and we need to.
But the coolest parts is when she's handling it, and I hate that you stop it.
It's so the choreography in here was so much better than a lot of the superhero movies that I feel that are out right now, like especially in the DC Marvel universe too. Like this one just seemed a little more, but then to add the whole.
Yeah, it was distracting a little bit. There were parts where it made sense where they would have slow motion, like when the first time the bullet hits her. Boom, boom, boom. No, when they get invaded on Themyscira by the Germans. Oh. And it's like, okay, that makes sense because you're trying to show like they never
had bullets before, never experienced bullets.
So at that point, because I said at the beginning of the film, I thought, okay, they're gonna use it sparingly. Then I was more like, oh my god, this is a good movie. And then it just kept going. Everything was slow motion to the point to where there was like non-action parts that were in slow motion, and I just.
That's what I hated. The posing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it just felt too much. Like I understand. Like if you actually think about like Wonder Woman and what she's been represented in, she's always like a mixture of both sexualized image and kind of a strong female lead. But they felt like trying to be pinups. Does that make sense? Like they felt like market, like here it is. Yeah. Here it be strong woman. This is it.
As if it were made for a trailer or a poster or something. The third act of this film is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mess, and I have a nagging suspicion that there's a person who had their hand in ruining this third act, and his name rhymes with Mac Miter. I'm not gonna say his name.
Just say it, Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder. It quickly devolved into like a Lifetime channel movie in terms of like dialogue and people emoting. I hate when people say how they feel, and it's a specific. It's like I am angry now. It's like no, just show me that you're angry. Yeah. Okay, and then on top of that, it became a CGI fuckfest, and out of
just
nowhere,
like fucking Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly. It fucking exactly.
It felt completely alienated. Like it was just it's like out of fucking nowhere. Okay, when right when she takes care. Oh, I can't talk about this without ruining it.
It's fine. Spoiler alert. Come to this time code.
Right when she sees that Ares is not that what's his name?
Danny Huston.
Danny Huston, and from there it just became muddled in CGI. It's just like, am I watching the same fucking film?
It felt underwritten, and when I say that, it's hard to describe it, but like if you watch a Lifetime Channel movie, because those are always underwritten and poorly written, they do this dialogue thing where it's like they don't know exactly what it is they're supposed to be saying, or write what they're supposed to be saying, so they say stuff like you tell me you love me, and I go, what do you mean you love me? And then you say, well, I love you because of this. What? It's like you don't know what it is you're supposed to be doing at this part of the movie.
In here, how did they do that?
It's between Steve and which is Chris Pine, between Steve and Wonder Woman.
Oh.
I felt like that dragged on forever. And then what made it worse is that, to me, like the movie, the third act got pulled back to decent when we just learned his name and I can't remember. Professor Lupin. Professor Lupin revealed, spoiler alert, Professor Lupin is Ares, and in the beginning of the film he's someone else. But he starts to explain why, like he doesn't actually cause people to fight.
Yeah, he just creates the situations and the mankind makes the choices.
Because that's who we are inside. We have that darkness inside. And I thought, oh, okay, that ties into the overall themes of the movie. And he wasn't a big giant CGI monster. He was just a guy, an English guy. And I thought, okay, this is cool if they're gonna end it in this way. Nope. And then he continues talking, and then it becomes a CGI fest. I'm not gonna say what happens, but there's a sacrifice that happens in this movie, and I feel like that didn't get the time it needed because of all the distraction, the visual distraction.
I can see that. Let's talk about what we cannot escape.
Yep. So this is another vehicle of heavy-handed feminism, where I expected like way more like Ghostbuster-ish kind of stuff, whereas they're eating penises on fucking film, chopping them up and shit. But I feel like for most of the film they
very subtle. It was clean.
It had to do with the plot.
Yeah.
Except for,
well, the one scene where they're leaving Themyscira and they're on the boat and she's talking to him he's talking to her. There's like this little weird altercation between them where he doesn't know if he can sleep next to her, and then it's a play on words, sleeping with you. And
the scene was working.
Yeah, the scene was working without, I can't explain it.
She makes a thing where I guess there's a book. It's probably a real text.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about sex.
Basically about sex.
And she says something like, well, you wouldn't like the book because it says that men are unnecessary for pleasure.
There you go. That's what it is. And then so it's just kind of like, she don't need you.
See, those are the moments that I hate in films like Ghostbusters that use feminism as a cheap device to sell tickets. Because I feel like they always do that. Like they look in the camera and say, men are stupid. And I felt like this movie avoided that for most of the time.
I was more upset with the end because, look, I'm not a big DC fan, but I know for a fact that Wonder Woman was a big icon, a big, just her name, her presence, and everything is just she's a strong female role model for everyone, and so. If you're gonna make it a little bit about feminism and just kind of like demonstrate that throughout the whole movie, I think it's a cheap shot to have it be that she overcomes her fear, her emotions because she's in love. Because and she's in love with a guy who kind of makes the ultimate sacrifice for her.
So it's sort of like in the end, it's the man who kind of makes her. And I think that was so cheap. It betrayed the premise. It betrayed everything that she had made for herself in that fucking film. I agree with you. Even to the point where he like tells her I love you, I was just like, why? Like you just met this bitch.
Well, it's presumably it's a couple months in there, whatever. So people fall in love in 2 days. But to have it be like the final thing that kind of pushes her over to find herself.
It wasn't her own strength that got her through.
Exactly.
Her
so in the end,
trial.
I'm just thinking, I was, the feminist in me was like, why does it have to be a man? So some man child was in the fucking room and said, no. She can't defeat this guy without having like the help of the guy.
Yeah.
Her love
Doesn't
interest.
it feel like that?
It
That's
felt
what
like
happened?
that.
Because the threads are that she doesn't need anybody. She's a badass bitch on her own. So
But no,
why?
but they were built. I understand that they were building that she does need people. She does need to connect to the outside world.
Yeah.
Why not have? It would have been so much more powerful if she found the own power in herself.
Yeah. But this is the Warner Brothers we're talking about. Like, people are selling movies with feminism or not just feminism, but just like equality is a big thing right now because we're in a transitional period in this country. Obviously, look at where we are. So movie executives are slimy sleazebags. They don't care about anything, and they use this to sell stuff. But they'll also, this is why you can tell, because they'll also use the stuff that they know is stereotypical of women to sell you something too. So this is why you get a movie where you get feminism and where there's a strong female lead, but then there's also like,
it felt very contradictory because if you look at the posters and everything, it's power, wisdom, courage. It's showing that she is strong and she doesn't need all that, and she takes so much initiative throughout the whole movie. Like, she doesn't need anybody she makes it very clear that she doesn't need anybody telling her what to do.
And those were the best parts of the movie, is where she was just like, well, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do.
I don't understand, maybe, Patty Jenkins was just like, oh fuck, like, I have to do this.
Warner Brothers has a history of meddling. Like we discussed last time with Suicide Squad. You can feel that there's a better movie. It just feels like somebody ripped it all apart and threw it together.
All right, I don't have much else to talk about this film, so let's just get to the arbitrary part. And what is your overall score of Wonder Woman?
If it wasn't for I'm trying to think, does that ending really affect how I think about this movie that much? And I think it does, and it's a shame. So I would give it a 4, but I have to probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's obviously miles ahead of what other movies they've done in this fucking franchise. If they're going on this direction, they set the bar at medium heat, and they cannot go below that. And this was a great movie. Patty Jenkins did a good job. She made a intelligible movie, and I felt stuff for it. And I'm glad that it was a success.
I'm gonna actually give it a 4.5.
Okay.
And the reason I do that is because, 1, it actually surprised me. 2, it's consistent and it actually is a story. 3, it's totally different from all the other fuckers out there. And that's, it's fucking Wonder Woman, man. She's awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. Subscribe, comment. I hope you guys have a great time watching this movie like we did. And we will see you later. You have anything to say?
No, just tell us what you think. We're really excited because Warner Brothers got a hit.
Yeah. So that's it. We love you. Bye.